we had 754 people sign up in the first 24 hours. And
Oh
I
my
had
gosh.
no training, no articles,
Oh my goodness.
nowhere near enough resources or capacity to handle that. I mean, I'm thinking 3 months to get 50 people, 754 turning up overnight, absolutely blew those fluffy socks off. And I'm still trying to catch up with myself.
Oh my goodness. So you basically launched a public webinar to your existing audience and said, "Hey,
It
I'm
wasn't even a webinar. It was a live
oh,
stream that I just randomly turned on.
oh wow." Welcome everyone to another episode of our high-level podcast called the Spotlight Sessions, where we talk about SaaS technology, a little bit of everything in the agency world, the SaaS world. And today I have a very, very special guest, Sarah, and she's all the way from Australia. And matter of fact, it took us several weeks and quite a bit to get this session scheduled. And the reason why I was so adamant about this was because Sarah's story is incredible. Everybody really should know about it. Within about 12 months, she scaled past hundreds and hundreds of SaaS customers. And there's a lot of organic strategy that she implemented behind that. And Sarah is a Female Entrepreneur of the Year 23 award winner, which is a very prestigious honor. And Sarah, tell us how you found High Level. What's your story? How are things in Australia? And you have such great, unique market there. But help us understand your story. Thanks for being here, by the way.
Thank you so much. I cannot wait to share with you just a little bit of the ways that I have managed to get our agency past hundreds of SaaS subscribers in our first 12 months. Paulson, it has been an absolute wicked ride. I only discovered GHL less than 18 months ago. And a friend of mine introduced us to the platform just as we were looking around at providing a new solution to our existing customer base of course creators and educators. And it just so happened to be a few weeks before the first GHL Summit, so 2022. I madly booked an aeroplane ticket. I think I scraped one of the very last tickets that were left for the summit. I got my butt over from Australia to the summit. We were precisely 28 days old when we rocked up at the GHL Summit in
Oh my
2022.
goodness.
Oh my gosh, I remember sitting there and, there's so much was new and I was just taking it all in. My jet lag was just pumping through me like something else. And I remember sitting there when all of the awards were going off and all of you guys were up on stage shaking all the SaaSpreneurs' hands. And I sat there just thinking, this time next year, I'm going to be a SaaSpreneur. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to learn all this stuff. I've never worked in the SaaS space before. This is my dream. And this is the solution that I know is going to be one of those cogs in the work that's going to bring the dream together. And so we slotted GHL into our existing businesses. And here we are, less than 12 months later. I'm going to be rocking up at the 2023 GHL Summit.
That's right.
And exactly our 1-year birthday. And I'm so excited to have just discovered that I am indeed now a SaaSpreneur and will be picking up an award on the summit this year. So I'm absolutely stoked that we've done this. Now, it has not been easy. It has been a year that I think I've probably grown some of my first grey hairs and most definitely some wrinkles. There has been some sleepless nights, some tears, and some more than the RDA amount of red wine consumed. However, you come along and have these moments when Paulson's like, hey, we know that you're winning an award. We've seen the back end of your system. Holy cow, girl. How did you do this? Because even we're impressed. I was like, all right, let's come on and spill the secret. So today, I'm going to be very, very happy to spill the beans, lift the curtain, so to speak, and just share some of the things that we've done that have been the contributors to our speedy growth in our SaaS system so that hopefully everyone else can listen, get inspired and implement some too.
Yeah, and Sarah, I didn't even realize the last year you were so fresh into the world of High Level, and that's incredible to go past hundreds of clients in less than 12 months. I mean, that's very rare. It's a lot of work, so congrats to you and your team. And I know there were enough failed attempts, enough failed processes, enough failed frustrations to kind of help you crack the code, which ultimately, you stick it out and you have the rewards for it. So big kudos to you. It's not even about the award. It's not even about high level. It's about you building a healthy book of business as an entrepreneur that quite possibly is not easy outside of software, right? So before we go into, I know you're really, really strong on organic marketing, and I really want to talk about organic marketing. But before we get started into that conversation, why SaaS? Because you had an agency style model before, almost a consultative type of approach from what I understand. Why did you kind of navigate from there to SaaS? Like, what's the difference? Why jump into SaaS from your perspective?
Yeah, huge difference. And, already being around for the last 12 months, I think I'm seeing a lot of people who think it's just something you can just turn on and it works. It's a lot more behind it than that. And, we've had to go through this learning curve of it's not as easy as it looks from the outside, right? We all get excited when we get started. But I'm a qualified teacher trainer, curriculum developer, and education consultant. And I've been doing that for over 15 years internationally. I'm postgraduate qualified in education and training, and had established myself for many years a very, very strong reputation in my field as an education consultant, helping everyone from individual course creators creating their own courses, coaching programs, and memberships. So that's what I help people do: take that knowledge and IP out of their heads and commercialize that in their businesses, all the way through to doing that for big corporates, government organizations, universities, colleges, and training organizations. So I've been in that space creating education programs for a very long time at every scale and size that you can possibly comprehend. And as part of that, my natural part of my consulting role as an e-learning specialist also included setting people up on their tech. So helping them get their online school, their learning management system, their email automations, their student progress check-in sequences, and helping them basically set up the entire system of their online education-based business or their online learning-based business, even in a big organization. And so I, over the years, have become quite au fait with tech, I suppose, particularly just for that niche that I work in, at least, helping people set them up on all of the existing platforms that are out there. So, I've been working as a verified partner and consultant with the likes of Thinkific, Kajabi, LearnWorlds, Podia, ActiveCampaign, all of those kinds of bigger LMS IPO platforms out there. And that has been part of my everyday life. And as you guys probably are aware, we're in the tech space, right? As you know, the prices keep going up. And in COVID time, I started to really get flooded with the feedback from my audience of, Sarah, you've set us up on all of these tools. They had to have an LMS here. They had another platform for websites, another platform for funnels. They had another platform for calendars. They had another platform for their email marketing. And basically, my audience was starting to experience this absolute snake's wedding of tech, right? Everything's tangled up like one giant snake's orgy, and one zap breaks and everything's broken, and it becomes a total mission to figure out what bit's gone wrong. Then the prices just kept doubling on every platform out there. And I remember sitting on one of my Zoom calls with my clients. So I have a membership program, my Edupreneur Academy. It teaches people how to run successful course-based businesses. And one of the calls, I was running my monthly workshop, and one of the ladies just said, Sarah, I just can't keep up with all of these tools being tied together and the massive mounting costs. And I had that morning been having the same conversation with my husband. I was growing a huge audience base. So I have at the moment over 280,000 students in my own courses in 181 countries. Now, when you add up what ActiveCampaign were charging me, what Thinkific were charging me, and all these other tools were charging me because they based on the contacts you have, I was sitting there going, the more successful I am, the more I'm punished by my tech stack, the more restricted I am becoming, to the point at which I'm scared to keep growing. And no business owner wants to be afraid of that, right? That's the one thing we're looking forward to.
You get an email about fair usage policy and all kinds of stuff. Yep, we get it.
Well, so when my client sat there and I could see the tears in her eyes through the Zoom camera lens, she didn't realize how much that was stinging me too. And I thought, my gosh, something has to be done. And she said, Sarah, why can't you just start your own platform? Because we know you wouldn't do that to us. We know that you care about us growing, and please help us fix the industry. I was like, that's a pretty big ask, but you know what? I'll do something. So I went madly looking around. Do I code something from scratch? What do I do? Do I tie together different tools? And this is when a friend of mine said, Sarah, have you seen High Level? Have you heard of it? I jumped in, I had a look, and my brain just exploded with ideas because of the fact I could see how I could sew on my own little plugins, my own APIs, my own little customizations, build some of the stuff that I'd already built my audience. I knew I could just replicate that inside the system and create something that was exactly what my audience need, without the tech tangles, without the headaches, without the massive costs, and still with me as their supporter, their helper, their coach, their guide, and their doer. And boom, did it take off.
So those of you that are watching and maybe you don't even know anything about High Level, I'll tell you in a quick 10-second run what High Level is. We've taken the best features from almost every platform out there and put it into one place to centralize all automation, all marketing, and all software and sales features in one place for you to create your own world of automations, your own world. Like, it's almost like the Legos, if I may say that, for the business world, and you can create whatever you want. And we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of features, and we have one small fee and price. You can white label it, you can create SaaS and create subscriptions around it. So when Sarah says, yes, I found High Level, but it centralizes hundreds and hundreds of features into one place, it's very liberating for a business in any way. But now you need to be an expert in some sort to be able to take the solution and take it to your client. So for that, I understand you use a lot of organic strategy, and that's really what I want to talk even further about.
Well, it's really interesting because I remember when I sort of was like, right, High Level's going to definitely be my skeleton, my structural base, if you like, on which I'm going to customize and build this unique solution to my specific audience of course creators, coaches, and consultants. And so I got this massive piece of paper. I'm all about goals and vision, right? You have to be clear what you want. And I'm very numeric focused. I'm like, that's something that can't lie. Numbers cannot lie, right? Our dreams can lie. Our imposter syndrome can lie. Our feelings can lie. Numbers simply cannot lie. So I'm very, very focused on that in driving a business. So I was like, right, this was September 2022. And it said,
right, not too long ago.
Not too long ago. I want to have 50 beta testers by December 2022. So I gave myself 3 months to get 50 testers come in and just play in the system, have a go, give it a little test drive, give me some feedback so that I can then iterate it into, you know, getting the right features, adding on more add-ons, adding on more APIs to make it right for my audience of people. And I basically didn't expect it to particularly kick off. I planned for it. I wanted it to. I dreamed it to, but I turned on a live stream. Now, this live stream, FYI, is still publicly available. I rocked up fairly casually. I was wearing some fluffy socks in my spare bedroom office. And I just said, guys, I've got an announcement for you. I've got this new thing. Forget Thinkific, forget Kajabi, forget Active Campaign, all the wording that my audience are used to. I said, I've got rid of them all and I have made a new solution. And here it is. And we had 754 people sign up in the first 24 hours. And I had no training, no articles,
oh my goodness,
nowhere near enough resources or capacity to handle that. I mean, I'm thinking 3 months to get 50 people, 754 turning up overnight, absolutely blew those fluffy socks off. And I'm still trying to catch up with myself.
Oh my goodness. So you basically launched a public webinar to your existing audience and said, hey,
It wasn't even a webinar. It was a live stream that I just randomly turned on.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's incredible. So help us understand the next day? Like, what does onboarding look like? Where did you even start? Like, that's a big mountain of
Oh my
pieces
goodness.
to climb.
Yeah, and it absolutely was enormous. And so I realized very, very quickly, I'm going to need some help. So I had to go into emergency hiring mode and find people to come on board to help with the onboarding. We have now engaged external support services and an external help desk that marries perfectly with high level. So that's been working really well for us, in addition to the team that we've built, that I'm very glad to say are still all with us. So they've been able to handle the roller coaster ride unbelievably amazingly too. So yeah, really it was a case of, right, emergency first of all, let's get these training programs in place. So I found, as someone who had already been using a lot of the other tools out there, because as you said, right, what High Level's done is basically replicated what all the things any business might need to run and pop them all in one location. Does everyone need to use all of them? Not necessarily. And again, we have kind of picked out the parts of the platform that our audience most need and highlighted the functionality and use of those. And so I basically sat down and went, well, okay, this bit is very much like this other tool I use. This bit feels really similar to this tool that I've used. So already being familiar certainly helped me be able to respond quickly. And I think a lot of people who come into this tech space having had no tech experience at all are the ones that need to give themselves more time to learn it. And they will, you can, there's plenty of training out there. But I was able to very quickly the next day log in and go, right, very quickly figure it out. And I just turned on Loom and I recorded video after video after video after video. Now, of course, you can buy white label training videos. There's tons of them out there. They're all amazing. But because I had launched to an existing audience who knew and followed me in the way that I teach, for me, it was critical to continue that experience in bringing this software in. And so I personally felt like the best results would come from me continuing to be the teacher of those students. So I just went nuts for 3 days, record. I put an entire course together on how to use our system within a couple of days, chucked all of that in, and boom, we basically had the training then available. Since then, I've continued to upload all of those training videos to YouTube, and we keep those updated all of the time. And that was really the biggest part, is getting that onboarding and just getting the staff to get in touch with each of those people retrospectively. And hey, would you like us to do an onboarding call? Now, of course, we've systemized that entirely now, but there it was very much scrambling to catch up with ourselves, and a lot of stuff wasn't ready. And as a result of that, we did have some really bad initial customer experiences. You know, people weren't being put into email automations because there weren't any. There weren't tutorials coming through regularly to help nurture and encourage our users to get into the platform. However, because I'd launched to an audience of people that already knew me, they were fortunately very, very forgiving of that stuff. So it didn't damage my reputation. And we were able to bring some of those people back who were like, okay, can I just come back in a couple of months when it's all ready? And we're very, very, very understanding that I was kind of the victim of my own success. And luckily now, all of those creases are ironed out, and we've managed to get that streamlined experience down to something that has got us ranking 5-star consistent reviews. And we've now won, I think, over 7 industry awards for best customer service in Australia for a SaaS platform, and best customized SaaS over here in Australia as well. So I'm really proud of the pushing through we've all done to fix that stuff.
So let's pause for a quick second. I want to unpack this. So what you did was go out to the market and say, yes, I have an offer, even though it's not completely ready. You knew the business model, you knew the intention behind it. So you decided to just launch and then come back and build, right? So that's, to me, that's the first lesson every SaaSpreneur has to take away from this. A lot of tech-oriented, engineer-minded SaaSpreneurs that were previous agency owners, they're drowned in the workflow, Sarah. They don't do the sales aspect. They wait for that perfected state of their product before they launch. And I think that's the first observation that I always find with SaaSpreneurs. They don't launch. Do you feel like, maybe not at the 750 level all at once in 24 hours, but do you feel like it's good to just go ahead and launch at and then create and build after? Do you feel like that's the right decision?
I think it depends on the personality of the entrepreneur, to be honest, because doing that means you have to be ready to ride the wave. Like, you've got to be ready to jump in that water and just go with whatever freaking storm is flying behind you. Because, whether it's one person who's extremely needy or 500 people going, where's my onboarding call? Either way, you are facing something where you're going to have to act and run and be able to handle and be resilient enough to deal with whatever stresses that brings. And it is certainly stressful when you're trying to catch up with constant customer demands, which, as you know, today are extremely high. However, I also am very much a massive advocate in my business mindset, full stop, of, I think it's Jim Rohn, it's fail forward. Fail forward. You're going to learn way more by doing stuff than by reading stuff. I always say school can teach you so much. It's getting out there in the workplace and just getting your hands dirty on the tools that makes you learn stuff. This is the same. And I always said to my students, I would rather you go to market with version 1 of something that's a little bit ugly, a little bit messy, a little bit wrinkly, because only once you have something there do you then get feedback enough to know what to iterate, what to change, how to evolve it, and how to make it better and get it to version 2. I always describe, to help people create courses, your first course, your first workshop, your first webinar, it's a bit like birthing, giving birth to something, because it is. And this is the same, like launching any business here is you're giving birth quite literally to something new. And I don't know how many of you have got kids or know someone with kids or have watched one of those movies where someone's giving birth. It ain't pretty, right? It is stinky. It is ugly. It's messy. It's a little bit scary. Somebody's swearing, someone's spewing, right? Either way, we still look at the baby and go, oh, it was so worth it. And is the baby finished product? Of course it ain't a finished product. Then we nurture the baby, we feed the baby, we keep changing the baby, right? And we grow the baby up into bigger versions of itself. And this is the same. So I am so about get something ready. Version 1, throw it out there, see what happens, ask for feedback, and be ready then to just keep running and adding those changes and adding those iterations and just keep on failing forward, because it's never finished. It's never going to be finished. It's never going to be perfect. The market changes, the customer's needs change, you change, and you've just got to keep on evolving all the time.
Yeah. So scaling past the 100 SaaS client mark using organic strategies. I mean, the first thing I would take away from this conversation so far is launch without having to perfect anything, fail forward, fail fast, fail cheap, right? What is the second big pillar that you realized about the business? What was it? Experience? Was it a certain thing? Like after that initial 750 or 800 clients, like what's the second pillar that you can share with us that is like you must know this?
There are definitely quite a few. I think one of them is the fact that if you can stick to one kind of core niche, it's going to help you, because when you go into a high level, like anything like me, your brain is going to be blown by just how much potential there is. And I think a lot of us go, oh my God, we can give away all of this. You can, absolutely. But focus on one specific group of people and their one biggest core need. So I've come from a background of course creation, education, and course creators. So I'm going to focus on the membership side. Can they still have all the other features? Of course they can. But I predominantly promote, hey, this is your course platform, for instance. Now I could spend all of my time going, this is everything for everyone. You can do this, you can do this, you can do this. The message is going to be super unclear. And I would have all different kinds of people coming in for all different kinds of reasons. And if I had tried to promise everything to everyone from day one, I don't think I would have been able to service all of those needs. Whereas I was able to focus really clearly on one specific of people, and that has helped in not only being able to service adequately, train my staff adequately, but also to continue marketing at a very, very direct point of the market, which really helps. The second thing is also just making sure that you are always listening and learning. Learners are the biggest earners. Do not become arrogant enough to think that you know it all, or that your customers are dumb, or you have to listen, because sometimes what they're saying is actually a huge light on a massive error that you have going on behind the scenes in terms of your systems or your delivery or your service. And the quicker you fix that and show that you're responding to that as thanks to them raising it, the more gratitude you get back from your clients and the more you're seen as a client-centered organization, which then make them go out and promote you even more. So they have been two very important parts, is that's making the customer part of our service delivery.
Yeah, so this feedback loop that Sarah's talking about, this is something High Level was built on. Like, we listen to our agency owners. If they feel like, hey, there's a certain issue with one of the developments or there's a missing feature, we have something called like the ideas board. You can throw your idea on there, get enough votes, and if it's relevant enough, we'll go spend our, hundreds of thousands of dollars and go develop that and make it relevant. So like, I don't know if, and you talked about the birthing process, right, of a company, and that's kind of exactly how High Level launched. Like, the very first version of High Level was sold to plumbers, 200 plumbers who Sean and Varun, this is before Robin even came into the picture, Sean and Varun sold it to home services in the plumbing space. Those guys all onboarded and bought it all up and everything was happy until the first like 10 days goes by. They're like, oh, we don't know how to use this thing. This is way too complicated. And literally all 200 of the very first clients all canceled. Wow. They all churned out. One of those plumbers was a agency client of Robin's agency. And that plumber connected Robin and the other two founders together. And Robin was like, oh, hey, can I implement this for my other clients outside of plumbing? And the only thing they really had inside High Level was the two-way text message. And there was no other features. So when we started, implementing it and showing it to fellow agencies, guess what? Like you said, we started listening to the agencies. We didn't think, even a brand new agency, we took them seriously of what their feedback was, just the same as the 2,000 client agency that are massive, right? And that feedback loop created the progress we have today. So what you said in both of those points are very relevant to the High Level journey, because that's exactly how we grew. What would be the third thing that you say is very critical to the organic marketing methods and scaling way past, hundreds?
Yeah, I'm going to kind of slip two together. The second thing that's really important is to make money as fast as possible. One thing I see a lot of people doing is saying, well, I'm going to put my beta program out there and I'm going to give it away for free in return for feedback. Well, free ain't going to pay the bills to then iterate and do the evolution that then needs to happen afterwards. So please, I recommend you have to make money. If you're not, you cannot survive. This is a business. It's really important that you are making money as quickly as possible. So that was fundamental to us, because all of those people, yes, they had their 2-week free trial, but then they went straight into the payments for their monthly payment for the SaaS. Now, yes, I made it a little bit cheaper for the beta program, but I still charged for that. That money then funded the staff that were then there to help me go in and make the iterations, add on different features, add on different plugins, and so on. That is critical, because if you don't have that, you can't continue the next bit, which is then getting more people through the door. As soon as that tap turns off, so does your business bottom line. All SaaS businesses are going to have churn. They just are. That's just how it is. So you have to have that tap on, not only enough to keep the bankroll going, but also add a little bit extra to cover the churn. That is the people that are going to cancel at the bottom. You have to be aware of that. Now, all businesses are different. We've been quite lucky, not lucky. It's been by design. We've managed to keep our churn rate less than 5% in our first year, which we're really pleased about, considering that there were big holes in our bucket at the beginning, right? We didn't have those systems in place to nurture and keep people. In fact, we just had a big old sieve basically until we got them all in place. So I think we'd have a lot higher numbers today if we'd had some of that in place. But hey, it's good. We got enough people through the door to keep it afloat. Now, with organic marketing, with any marketing at all, I get a lot of customers come to me for my courses and say, I've got this amazing course and it's not making any sales. And I say, okay, well, let's take a look at what marketing you've done. And they're like, I put some posts up on Facebook, I put a blog up. And right. Let's talk about marketing. Yeah, right. So a lot of people think, what's the secret to marketing? What's the secret to getting customers in? There is no secret. The formula to success is so ridiculously simple that people think it's a trick, right? The more people you get in front of, the more you sell. And there is a really clear mathematical formula out there for them, all the logicals out there, and for all the people that think this is really hard, right? Let's pretend you have to get in front of a certain number of people. If you get in front of a certain number of people and you've got a percentage that will buy out of that number of people, that equals a sale. Now, every single business has a different conversion rate. There are so many variables about the way you sell it, how you sell it, who you're selling it to, if you're using the right language and all that other stuff. That's another conversation for another podcast, right? But I always say to people, let's look at the worst case scenario. You want to sell one course, or you want to sell one SaaS subscriber, or you want to sell one agency sale. If you have a conversion rate of 1%, you need to get in front of at least 100 perfect target clients. And a conversion rate of 1%, 100 people means you're going to make one sale. Now, it's very important. They must be the right people. They must have the right message delivered to them in the right sales pitch. Okay. But assuming you've got that bit right, then 100 people in front of at a 1% conversion rate equals one sale. So if you want to make 10 sales, you've got to get in front of 1,000 people. If you want to make 1,000 sales, you've got to get in front of 1 million people, right? I don't know if I've done my maths perfectly there. I'm crap at it, but that's the point. Isn't that suddenly simple? All of a sudden, you're not asking yourself, how am I going to make a sale today? You're asking yourself, how am I going to get in front of 1,000 people this month? 1,000 of the perfect people this month. So if you know who your niche is, let's go back a step, right? I target course creators, although I could sell to everyone. And it pains me as an entrepreneur to cut out people that I could be selling to, right? I focus on that one niche and I go, okay, now I know who they are. Now I know how to get in front of 1,000 of them, because I know what podcasts they're listening to, or what Facebook group they're in, or what other people they're buying from, or what conferences they're at, or what books they're reading. That I can go and reach them, or I could turn ads on and target what kind of software they might be using, or what kind of celebs they might be following. And the same is for all of us. No matter what industry you're in, no matter what you sell, this process is exactly the same. It's simple numbers. Get that right, and you will always have enough people pouring through the top with the churn coming out the bottom to keep your business scaling over and over and over again.
Yeah, I love this because I assume you're a big reader, Sarah. Have you ever heard of the book The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes?
I love it. Yes.
It's one of the flagship, pillar books, foundational books, I would say, in the sales world. And the whole gist of it is Chet talks about what's the difference between a great closer versus a good closer. That's really the entire theme of the book, if you ask me. And the real difference is volume of at-bats, right? The amount of swings that they take at the baseball or the cricket ball, whatever. In Australia, it's a little different, right? But either way, the amount of swings you take is what really differentiates you as a great closer versus an average closer. And most agencies don't know the volume that makes sense for them. They don't know how many sales cycles must be alive in a monthly run. And internally, we used to say, hey, can we get one offer in front of a person every single day? Minimum 30 offers being presented, minimum per person. And if you have an organization of like 200 people, and every single person is at least making sure one offer is presented to at least one person, that's a massive amount of presentations. And that's literally how the way High Level grew from an affiliate standpoint, internal marketing standpoint. We didn't even have a sales team, but this is the mantra that we really followed internally. Make sure at least one person sees an offer from you every single day, right? And that's
and this is what we do.
And that's a theme that we did to grow initially. Sarah, what are some things? I know there's a lot to unpack here. Some of you may want to watch this 2 or 3 different times to just take notes. But what are some other things that organically that we should consider?
Well, you've segued really nicely there into one of the fundamental strategies that I use to build my whole entire education side of my business that worked so well that this is what I replicated in my, my SaaS business too. So with my education-based business, I've been very, very strong in organic marketing content and what I call edu-marketing. educating your audience profitably. Coming from an education background, obviously this just really fit with my core values as well. So I've always put a really strong emphasis more on educating the market so that they choose to buy themselves based on the fact that they understand and know the product, and they've sold it to themselves by being educated. And it's worked really, really well for me, and it works really well for a lot of my clients as well. So every day, how can I get in front of people? One way that all of you can do right now that is completely free of charge, you're holding it in your hand this very second, aren't you? Your phone. And this is an absolutely free strategy for you to reach thousands of people a week, is to simply pick up your phone, list down the top questions that people are asking in your field, turn that camera on and answer it, and use the high-level social media scheduler to schedule it to go out across all of your social media channels. And this is what I do. Go to ChatGPT if you're not sure. Like if you work in serving real estate agents, type in real estate agents, most common questions about tech, real estate agents' most common needs or something, and answer those questions. ChatGPT can even help you come up with the answer. But this is where you're not only going to be positioning yourself as an expert in your field, but also you're showing people that you know what you know, rather than trying to convince them that you know what you say you know. They get to witness, see, and experience for themselves how passionate you are, how much you love it, that you truly do know your thing inside out, and that you happen to have a solution to take it to the next level. Passion is important when you're talking about your niche and who you want to serve. A lot of people come to me and say, now new people have started to discover my SaaS software, that didn't know me before, and going, I've just seen your videos. You're just so, you clearly are so passionate about this. You love it so much that I couldn't help but be completely magnetized to coming and following you, even though I know I could go to all of these different other platforms that exist out there. You're putting your personality across when you get on the camera and you start sharing your knowledge and expertise. And the next part of that is mixing it up with demos too. So again, thinking to yourself, what are the biggest challenges the people I want to work with serve? What is it they're struggling with? What's driving them freaking batshit bonkers with all of the other tools that they're using? And simply creating these mini bites of demos. So I would come out, I know that a lot of my audience are like, how do I make a membership? How do I do a membership subscription for my coaching program? So I would just do a quick video. Here's how to make a membership subscription for your coaching program in 3 minutes using my SaaS software. Boom, turn the screen on, you click here, you click here, you click here, you click here. And if you want to grab your free trial, come and join here and click here, right? It's as simple as that. The showing them the solution, showing them how easy it can be, actually has a cognitive effect in the minds of our buyers when people can see that they are capable of doing something, and that indeed it actually is possible. This creates this sense of vicarious efficacy. This is what it means in the way that we learn as humans. We can see that someone else can do it, therefore our brain goes, ooh, this is possible, which then convinces us that it's possible for us, which is then what enables us to get through any barrier of objection and go and take action on the sale, the opt-in, the free demo, whatever it is that you're popping out there in the call to action. It is amazing. And so many people say to me, but Sarah, I put these videos out and I only get 100 views. No worries. If 100 people rocked up to your sales presentation, wouldn't you be delighted? Of course you would be. You'd be stoked if 100 people rocked up to your webinar or your sales prezo or your sales call. You'd be like, what the heck? This is incredible. So 100 people viewing your video, you're doing something right. Only one of those, remember, if you've niched it correctly, needs to convert to make a sale. You're doing one of those every 10 days. 10 days in a row, you're already smashing your targets, right? It's very, very powerful, and they're there forever. So the next time people go online and type in, how do I do this thing? How do I stop this happening? Ding, up comes your video in your niche, and boom, you get that flow of leads for the rest of time.
Yeah, I love this. And when you think of it from an academic standpoint, you have your visual learners, your auditory learners, your kinesthetic, even the emotional ones. And we live in a world in 2023 where everybody's on a screen from like literally a young age, almost like forcefully trained to become a visual learner. as a big part of how they consume content. So when you sell SaaS, I think when you do open demos, when you do small snippets of certain aspects of the platforms, and they can literally see it, it creates a different effect on the sales mind, right? And when they do jump into sales, it's really just like, it's very soft selling, because by the time they get to the point of sale, they've already trained themselves on almost everything. Your onboarding becomes a lot more simpler because they've been consuming 6 months of content before they become an active buyer. And the whole entire assembly line becomes a lot more fluid, and that's something that I think we've observed from far, even in our own world, is like certain affiliates that do a better job in essentially providing a lot of education. Sometimes the audience that they bring go through our ecosystem in a very soft way, versus someone who's just like, hey, get rich quick, real quick, here's a software solution, blah blah blah, and they don't provide a lot of things. What they do is that audience comes in because they're great at closing and deals and things like that, but when they come to our onboarding, you can see how there is such a resistance for them to then start learning, then start moving, then actually become great SaaS users. So what you're saying is absolutely right. There is a big difference in not only from a content and marketing standpoint, but from a SaaS onboarding standpoint and client success to lower churn. Like that whole entire piece is there. So we've talked about a lot of different things. Any final words that you want to share when it comes to organic marketing strategies? I mean, I've never heard of anybody scaling past 800 to 1,000 plus clients in such a short run. But I think there's a lot to learn here.
Yeah, consistency is absolutely key. It really, really is. People even people actually following you on your socials only see around 1% of what you post and put out there. So if you are making sure that you are making it impossible for you to not be seen by simply posting as daily, if you can. So on my personal channels, separate from my SaaS, I am constantly putting tip videos out there pretty much daily, all of the time. I'm doing live streams. I'm contacting my email list, making an active point of growing a list as fast as possible and being in touch with those people regularly. I am, going out there and giving my time to speak for free on summits, on podcasts like this, going out and speaking at conferences where I know my audience are going to be, going to networking events, sponsoring an exhibition stand to be there. And of course, not all of these things have to be expensive. One thing that we did with somebody who wanted extremely high sponsorship package for us to pay for in our early days, I was like, I'm not investing in this yet. We're still a startup in this side of our stuff. So how about we do a swap? I will give you a service for free in exchange for me having a spot and sponsorship position, and they let me have a sponsorship position. I got in front of their audience and made lots and lots of more sales there. So it's about being creative, again, focusing in on where are my audience and how can I get in front of as many of those as possible in the way that's going to work best for that particular group of people. And you just have to keep sticking to this all the time. Again, don't think that you can saturate the market or that the market is saturated. For a start, half of the world don't even have the internet yet. So at the date of recording this today, half of the world are not even on the internet. Now that is huge. If you had every customer there is to have, you wouldn't be able to service them anyway. And on top of that, out of all the people who already are in the world and all of those that are coming, there are always new people coming down the stream. So yes, I may have taught everyone that could possibly be taught course creation right now today, but there are brand new people waking up every single morning, realizing they want to create a course and are pouring towards me. Your industry is exactly the same too, in whoever it is that you are helping. There are always new people every single day discovering and pouring into your industry. And you must be consistent in staying out there, being online, coming up in their search results, doing those blogs, being on the right hashtag threads that they might be following on social platforms so that they discover you by accident and by purpose when they start looking for the type of services you provide. If you keep that up consistently forever, you can't fail. It's as simple as that.
Well, Sarah, I appreciate that. I don't want to add to it. That was perfect. I'm excited to see you at the conference this year. I don't know if you're coming.
Can't wait.
I believe you are. Okay, awesome.
I'm coming from Australia. I've got to somehow top last year's costume though. There was the cow. I was told it was a cowboy casino or casino
Oh
cowboy
yeah,
or
we
something like
had,
that party. I
yes,
just
we did.
So I rocked up in a giant inflatable horse, and I had no room for any other clothes in my suitcase, so it was hilarious. And on top of that, someone then bought it off of me for a charity donation to my charity. They're like, "Can I buy your horse?" I was like, "Only if you donate to my charity." They did, and I had to
Oh my
strip
God.
off, hand
Yeah.
over the horse. I walk around in my undergarments for the rest of the night. So the reputation precedes me, and somehow I've got to top it this year.
Oh man,
It's
I
gonna be
love
good.
it. I love it. This year is going to be, even more amazing than last year. And last year,
Oh my gosh.
our own teams like put it all together internally. Like we didn't even hire an external events management company. Our own
Crazy.
employees and team members, we literally came up with ideas and launched it. Like literally went on YouTube and like searched how do you do XYZ and got it done. And that's what we're doing this year as well. A little bigger of a
Oh,
crowd, but we're so excited for it. We're excited to have you on stage this year and getting your award as well. Congrats to you. And if any of you are watching this podcast and if you're not even on high level, I don't know what you're waiting for. Please just go try a 14-day trial. We're just normal people that don't bite, and we just want you to do good when it comes to the world of business. And likewise, we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.